We film just about everything we do in the workshop, even if I don't plan on making a video about that specific project, because there are always little lessons to be gleaned from each project that can make for good videos. A year or so ago, we built some floating shelves for a guest bathroom in my house, and I think you may find the unique way they were designed interesting, and there's a few lessons you might learn along the way. They began as a plywood shell. The front and back pieces required identical holes that all align. In cases such as this, it's always best to make a jig so you can easily position multiple workpieces for boring the holes identically. The time spent making a jig always pays off by reducing error and the problems that may arise from it later. The spacer used here during assembly illustrates the same principle. While it's always possible to measure and mark your pieces, a physical spacer is far more reliable than pencil lines are, both in positioning the workpiece during assembly and in reducing their tendency to slip out of alignment while you glue it up. In this case, the spacer also served as a center support for the plywood shell. The holes are to accommodate short pieces of steel conduit. It takes a little pounding to get it in the hole, even after the ends were slightly chamfered on the sander, but this tight fit is exactly what we want in these mounting panels. However, it's going to present a problem later, as you'll see. Of course, plywood isn't pretty, so the shell will be overlaid with ash. I can't tell you how nice it is to have a good bandsaw that can resaw wide boards accurately. You'll be surprised how often you do this when you have the ability to do it. In this case, the ash is sawn to about 1/4 inch thick, and it's laminated onto the plywood shells to create top and bottom panels. We don't worry about the precise size of the panels, as long as they are larger than the shells themselves. We have lots of clamps in the shop, but it's always nice to gang projects together like this to reduce the number of clamps required. Here, a rail is temporarily tacked to the back of a shelf. This provides a straight surface to ride against the table saw fence, as the edges of the ash panels are trimmed flush. The rail is then removed so the other edge can be trimmed as well. This process could not have been done with a flush trim router bit because there is an open recess on the back of each shelf which provides no reference surface for the router bit's bearing to ride against. The ends are then trimmed flush with a chop saw, though the table saw would have worked here as well. More ash panels are attached over these ends. Tape is used to temporarily hold them in place so they won't slip out of position as clamps are applied. Note how scraps of plywood act as cauls to distribute the clamping pressure over an area wider than the width of the jaws. People often ask me about the orange clamps I use. They're from Bora Tools. I'll put a link below the video. These end panels may be flush trimmed with a router, as there is a sufficient edge beneath them to guide the router bit's bearing. Now you start to see how these shelves work. The panel with the 2 pieces of conduit attaches to the wall. Then the box slips onto the conduit arms, making it appear as if nothing is supporting the shelf. But here's where it got tricky. Remember how that conduit fits so tightly into those holes? That's great for the panels where the conduit stays fixed on the wall. But you need a looser fit in the rest of the holes that slide over the conduit. A slightly larger Forstner bit may have worked, but we already bored the holes. That's the problem sometimes when you build something and design it at the same time. In the end, we realized that the holes in the front of the shelf would be the most difficult to align as you assemble it, so they were enlarged with a router bit and a chisel. The holes in the back were merely made slightly larger with some sandpaper so the conduit would fit well, but not too loosely. This, along with a well-fitting wall panel that slips into the recess on the back of the shelf, was sufficient to secure it to the wall. The enlarged holes on the front were then covered with the final piece of ash, taped and clamped, then trimmed with a router. And that's about it. There are lots of ways to build floating wall shelves. I'm not saying this is the best way, but I think you might have picked up some inspiration from this process and hopefully a few tips that you caught along the way that you can now apply to woodworking projects of your own. See you next time. Who says you can't get track saw quality cuts from a simple circular saw? Bora Tools' new clamp edge guide system is light, it's easily portable, and it's far less expensive. And with the optional router and jigsaw attachments, the system's more versatile too. Check it out at the link in the notes below this video. Wait, don't go yet. If you're new here, please subscribe and remember to ring the bell. I would really appreciate that. Give us a thumbs up, or better yet, leave us a comment. I always read them. And be sure to check out the latest issue of Stumpy Nubs Woodworking Journal. It's always packed with tips, tricks, and tutorials designed to make you a better woodworker.